What's up everybody? Andrew Longren here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the best fishing settings for your GoPro. About a week and a half ago, I was at ICAST, and when I started talking to people about their setups and how they deal with the summer heat, it really bothered me how many fishermen had no idea what hindsight was. Hindsight is a unique GoPro feature that allows you to record 30 seconds of footage before you ever hit the start button. Think of it kind of like a dash cam. It's always recording, but it doesn't actually save anything until something happens. I'm also going to be going over a few of my tips and tricks for extending the runtime out of your GoPro and helping deal with the heat, especially during the Texas summers. That heat really affects how long I can be on the water and how long my camera equipment is going to last as well. Because we all know how notorious GoPros are for overheating. And if you're new to the channel, one thing about me is I cut out all the BS. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting with my GoPro, you'll notice that I have a side door on it that's not the original door for the GoPro. I prefer these style doors with a cold shoe on them, and then this also has a 1/4 as well, and a pass-through door for your external power supply. Then on the bottom I have a GoPro tripod adapter from Skyjiff. I put the male end for the small rig Hawk Lock on here. I have this adapter on everything. My tripod, my rail mounts for my boat, my truck dash, all my lights, my GoPro, my camera, everything that I own has this adapter on it. Now they are a little bit expensive. They're $25 for the male and the female end, but when you're on the water or you're doing a lot of things outdoors and you have to swap between setups quite often, the last thing you want to do is stop and have to unscrew a screw on the bottom and then screw it into the new camera, and it's just, this is the most fast and effective way. And once you have these, you never have to really worry about changing any mounts again. Everything just is totally interchangeable. So we're going to plug in power cable. Now this is a TechSmarter 20,000 milliamp, and pay attention to the bottom that each one of these outputs doesn't put out the same power. So your S Pro and then your S Plus are your two outputs for your USB. One's a 5 volt 3 amp and the other is a 2.5 volt 3 amp. Now you have to have a minimum of 5 volts 3 amps for the GoPro to turn on. Otherwise you'll get the error that says battery need to be inserted and then your GoPro will turn off. If you ever get that notification on your GoPro, the first thing I would check is the power adapter and then your power bank and make sure that it's rated for the correct output. So I got it in the correct USB port. I'm going to flip open my door here, power it on. Now you'll see that it says no battery, but I'm not getting the notification that says not enough power. So we're good. And then real quick, the reason I use an external battery is because the hindsight feature really drains the battery. You're probably only going to get about 15 or 20 minutes out of hindsight on the GoPro battery. So you have to use an external battery. And then also, when the battery is inserted into the GoPro, you'll overheat a lot faster because this battery being in there, you're using it, it's draining it, the battery's heating up, the GoPro actually running is heating, and then there's no airspace in there, and this just goes pretty quickly. We have found in the fishing industry and some of my other friends that also do a lot of video, if you pull the battery, you can usually get about an hour or two more out of the GoPro. Now running hindsight, like I said, it does pull quite a bit of power. This 20,000 milliamp battery, I have tested it fully, and I can get 36 hours of straight runtime using hindsight. So if you have a long weekend or you're doing a lot of stuff over a couple days, one of these power banks will last the entire weekend. And I just prefer to use that just because, say like I have a short on the boat or something else goes wrong. This setup allows me to be very mobile and very, very agile. And then I use the sling that you can get for like $700 or so on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description below. Like, I can mount this to anything, just about anywhere, and it really comes in handy. I like to lock mine so I don't mess with any of the settings. Right here where it says standard, I'm going to click that. Now these are all your custom video settings. You know, GoPro does have some in there that are preset. I like to go in and do my own, but we're gonna hit the pencil on the right hand side. And if you look in the bottom right hand corner, you're gonna see a little box that says hindsight. We're gonna click that. You have a 15-second delay and a 30-second delay. I'm blind and I'm a little slow sometimes, so I like to do the 30-second delay. Lens is linear, we're at 5K at 30 frames per second, hyper smooth is on. Now this duration for 5 minutes, this is very important, guys, listen up. What this is it tells your camera after how many minutes of filming should I automatically turn off. Because we've all been there, start the GoPro, you catch a really nice fish, or you get it close to the boat and some crazy stuff happens, and you finally get in the boat and it's all this hoorah, and then you pick the rod back up and you start fishing again. You forget about the GoPro, the next thing you know it's filming for 15 minutes straight and it's dead. So 5 minutes is my max. I like to set it for, just in case I forget to turn it off. That saves me a lot of time on the edit. Now there are a lot of these other settings in here like Pro Tune, and I just leave everything auto. If it looks like it's going to be a really bright sunny day outside, I do have ND filters or polarizing filters that I'll swap it over to, but for the most part I keep the standard GoPro filter on there. So we're going to go back. Now you're going to notice this little counter right here. What this is doing is it's counting up to 30. So right now, if I was to hit the record button, I would still get everything from when the counter started. So at 17, we're going to let that go to 30 and 30. So from here, you'll see that it's blue at 30 seconds. Now, imagine this being set up on my tripod. I've got my Bluetooth remote on my wrist most of the time. While I'm fishing, I keep it on my left wrist. That way my right hand, which is my reeling hand, is free to reach over and push the button. So we're at 30 seconds. All of a sudden, I get a little nibble on my rod. I hit the record button or hit the record button on the remote. Now you'll see that it's counting from 34, 35. So it started counting up from 30. Catch the fish, bring it in, hit the stop button. You'll see your counter has now started over. So we're going to go in. Now you have to stop hindsight to view any of your footage. You'll see that there's 42 seconds on that clip. So it pre-recorded the entire 30 seconds before. At 30 seconds. Now imagine this being set up on my tripod. I've got my Bluetooth remote on my wrist most of the time while I'm fishing. I keep it on my left wrist. That way my right hand, which is my reeling hand, is free to reach over and push the button. So we're at 30 seconds. All of a sudden, I get a little nibble on my rod. I hit the record button or hit the record button. So I just hit the record button. See that it's counting from 34, 35. So it started counting up from 30. So you'll see that I hit the record button, but I had the whole 30 seconds when I was talking before. Guys, this is probably the most fundamentally important feature when it comes to fishing with GoPros. And I have no idea why there are not more anglers utilizing this feature. So with this setup here, I can get 36 hours of runtime. Now, Texas summers, gets a little hot, there's only so much I can do. That's where the little umbrella comes in. This is like $8 on Amazon. It'll go right inside this little hot shoe here. And there you go. Quite a bit of shade. I can tilt this and move it around. You don't want to have your shade right up against your GoPro within an inch or two. Now I have roughly 10 to 15 years of outdoor filming experience, and let me tell you that if you try to place the shade within an inch or two, or even like 4 inches, depending on what part of the country you're in, because in Texas, like I said, it gets hot, you will end up with what's called radiant heat. So even though you're shading yourself from the sun, you'll still get the heat you'll still get the actual radiant heat coming through the shade. So this little DSLR camera umbrella creates plenty of gap between the shade itself and the GoPro. I can angle this a bunch of different ways, and I still get plenty of airflow, so it actually keeps the camera cool. This little setup right here, I can run a whole weekend with this. If there's anything that you would like to know more information on when it comes to filming in the outdoors, I know a lot of really good fishermen who don't really have the camera and technical background, but are amazing fishermen. My purpose of this series is going to be helping fishermen learn how to use the technology that's available to them. In my next video, I'm going to be going over the DJI Osmo 6 and how you can use it to get rid of a camera guy or get a camera guy for less than $150. Like always, like, comment, subscribe. Till next time.